Hello everyone and welcome to a posh and fun to drive small SUV, which honestly is quite rare in the segment, which is this 2024 Mazda CX-30. So the new CX-30 is offered in 6 different variants, starting from GX, which comes with 2.5 litre 4-cylinder engine with the cylinder deactivation technology. Then comes the GS, which comes in 2 variants, which is 2.5 litre 4-cylinder engine, and there's also 2.5 litre 4-cylinder engine with the luxury package. Then comes the GT, which again comes with 2.5 litre 4-cylinder cylinder deactivation technology. Then comes the GT with 2.5 litre 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, and then comes the Suna edition, which is the 2.5 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. And all of these variants come with the all-wheel drive as standard, and the one that I'm reviewing is the GT all-wheel drive 2.5 litre 4-cylinder inline engine with the cylinder deactivation technology. So let me begin with the front. There's this black glossy grille, a very elegant kind of look in the front. It actually looks quite similar to the Mazda 3 hatchback itself because it is nearly based on that itself. You can click on the pop-up banner out here. You can watch the detailed review video of that, and that was the Suna edition. So if you want to check out that, then there's also the chrome surround at the bottom and also extends onto the side of these headlights. At the bottom, normal plastic bumper is provided to give it much more ruggedness and also much more easier to replace if you scratch or dent anything at the lower side. There's also a camera above the Mazda badging, which is one of the cameras from the 360-degree camera system. There's also a camera provided on the front screen, which is used for the various safety systems, the adaptive cruise control, front collision warning, front pedestrian warnings and everything. It's for that. And on this there is an optional paint option given for this one, which if you notice on the camera, it's called the crystal metallic paintwork, and honestly it looks pretty good. It comes for additional $300, but I think it's well worth considering how beautiful it looks during the bright daylight. When we come to these headlights, these are full LED headlight cluster, and not just that, these are the dynamic headlight cluster and they are adaptive also. So there's no cornering lights or anything, but the lights inside the headlight cluster themselves move around with the steering input. So yeah, that becomes like the cornering headlights also. And as I said, fully LED, even the turn signals and everything is completely LED. There are rings, DRL rings given there, and the turn signals are actually given at the bottom. So those are the fading turn signals and not like your normal blinkers. So they actually fade and then come and go off. Now on the sides there are these normal plastic arches to protect your actual fender, and then some more thicker skirtings in normal plastic given at the bottom too, followed by more curved ones given in the back on the rear arches also. And when it comes to these wheels, these are the 18-inch gunmetal finished alloy wheels given on this CX-30, and then there are some panel gaps which I've encountered, and that's between this skirting where the rear door and the front door meets. There you can actually see the actual door on the inside. There are some more sort of fit and finish issues that I've encountered on the inside also. When we jump inside, I'm going to show you that. There's also a half chrome surround given on these windows at the bottom side, and there is also normal sunroof given on this CX-30. When you come to these side mirrors, these are the glossy black side mirrors, and they are non-power foldable but power adjustable. They also have the blind spot warning inside them. There's also a turn signal given on the side. There is also one of the cameras from the 360-degree camera system. Then in terms of these doors, these are the keyless entry doors. There is also a CX-30 badging given on the door sales, and that's an illuminated CX-30, but in the back is just normal CX-30, but it's still provided like a badge on the door sill itself, and a small glossy black spoiler given in the back too, along with some really nice rounded body style given in the back. There's no unnecessary lines going on this car. Like this door, if you see, it's like roundish. There's no sharp curve or anything, and if you find this very similar to the Mazda 3, as I mentioned, because this thing is actually based on the Mazda 3 hatchback variant, and which is why a lot of bits and bobs you see are the styling and design, everything is quite similar to the 3. Now in the rear, you get full set of LED tail lights, the turn signals, reversing lights, everything is completely in LED. Then there is also the CX-30 all-wheel drive badging given in chrome Mazda badging in the center, and the Sky Active G technology badge, which is for the cylinder deactivation technology provided on this CX-30. And when you come to the rear visibility, it's actually a bit narrow because there are these thick pillars that actually hinder the visibility, but it's still much more vertical, and this glass still offers good amount of visibility. At the bottom there is this normal plastic bumper given with the reflector strips. Again, the normal plastic bumper is so that it's just much more easier to replace, and also to give it a lot more rugged look in terms of its appearance. And at the bottom sits two chrome exhaust tips, which are the real exhaust tips and not the fake ones. And again, the design in the back is also much more roundish, like the bumper itself is round, even this trunk door is round too. Now when you come to the trunk space, in order to open the trunk door, there's a button provided, and this has a motorized trunk door, so that's a convenient feature. There are scuff plates given in the back so that you don't damage your plastic bumper, and there are also rubber mats provided with the CX-30 badging, and also rubber mats provided on the inside in the cabin also, so that it's just more easier to clean them up if they get dirty, especially during the winter months when there is a lot of snow, or there is in summer where we get rains also. So for that it's just much more easier to clean, but otherwise the lining itself is just feels very premium on the inside. Now when the rear seats are folded up, you can put 572 liters of luggage in the back, which is pretty good for a small SUV, I will say that. And there's also a boot separator, and that can be removed, and it sits on the floor itself. In fact, let me just show you. Just remove these threads and give it a knock, and that's it. It just consumes the space in the trunk. That's the only problem. So yeah, otherwise you can leave this in your parking garage and then sort of drive this thing without, and then definitely there's much more extra trunk space given. And at the bottom of the floor sits a temporary spare wheel with your toolkits and everything provided, and also a woofer from the Bose music system, because this thing comes with 12 speaker music system. Now there are also tying points provided on the inside, so you can tie down your luggage. Now the rear seats are foldable in a ratio of 60:40. In order to do that, it's pretty convenient from here itself. Press the buttons, because this car is small, so your hands would definitely reach. Now the thing is, because if you notice, the driver's seat is in my driving position, so there is a bit of a reduction in space in the rear. I'm going to come to that, so which is why the seats are not folding. I have to just push the seat a little bit further, so that here you go. Yep, now it folds down, because then I have to take the driver's seat a little bit in the front to be able to fold down the rear seats. Now when the rear seats are folded down, you can put 1280 liters of luggage in the trunk, which is pretty good for a small SUV. At least there's a capability provided to fold down the seats and put longer objects into this thing, and it's much more even. There's only small bit of step out here, so it's not going to hinder the overall ability to put the luggage in and out. And also the opening sits quite low, so again that also aids putting the luggage in and out. Also, there is not much of a step between the trunk floor and the seats when they are folded down, just a very slight step, but again that's not going to hinder the overall ability to push the longer objects into the back. Then in order to close the trunk door, there is a convenience feature also, because these are motorized trunk door. So press the button and close it. Now as I mentioned, the CX-30 is a posh car, and on the inside it's really when you start to notice why it is, because everything here has like quality and premium materials added. And not just that, it's also the simplicity with which you can operate this entire car. You don't have to relearn anything. In fact, just sit inside and pretty much everything is right where it should be. So let me begin with the material quality here. So on the top of the dashboard, it's soft touch material with the red color stitching on the top face completely throughout. Soft material even on the side face is soft touch material. On the door cards on the top face, again soft touch material. Where you're going to be resting hands, that's black color leather covered soft material with the red color stitching. And even around these switches, the material quality for the switches also, that's also very good. Like it just feels very good to touch and not like cheap plastic buttons thrown in just like that. And on the side face here there are air conditioning vents with a chrome strip, and then just normal plastic given on the glove box, but it's still the quality of plastic provided is very good, even though wherever, even at the bottom of the door cards or out here at the bottom of that center tunnel, all of those places the quality of plastic is very good, I would say, and not like a cheap quality plastic. Around the gear shifter, everywhere around glossy black plastic, might become a little more scratchy that way, and it's got this carbon fiber texture on the inside, but it's just the plastic piece. And then this hand rest again with the red color stitching on that, and soft touch material which is leather covered. Even on the side face of this center tunnel, it's red color stitching and soft material, leather covered, so that when you rest your legs during the longer journeys, it's like comfortable. So yeah, everything has been thought out very well. The steering wheel is also leather covered. The material quality is absolutely spot on the CX-30, especially for a small SUV. It's quite rare. Now, as I mentioned, there are some fit and finish issues that I found. So one of it was where the door and the dashboard meets, there is quite a bit of gap, like about a finger worth. Also where the speaker grill is and where the door meets, there also there's a bit of a gap. And also the switch panel here, that's also a bit wonky and loose. So far that's the few places where I've found those sort of matching issues. And even on the back side of the dashboard and the door, again there is quite a bit of gap. So that is sorted out. It can just look very seamless in terms of the appearance. Now when it comes to the driver's display, so there are fixed dials, 3 dials given on the driver's display, but in the center dial there is a display which is a 7-inch LCD display given, and on that information can be changed also, and that's a digital dial but not a physical dial, whereas the physical dials are given on either side. Left side is for the RPM counter, right side is for the temperature and the fuel gauge. So all of that is fixed, and in the middle there is the digital speedometer but analog version. So the information that you see there can be changed using the button given on the left side of the steering, info button, and straightforward only 3 options. You see drive information, then the adaptive cruise control, all the safety systems around, so that, and if there are any warnings on the car, that's about it, or you can leave it in blank. That's it. So only thing that you can see in that middle screen. And on either side there is also information given, which is for the instantaneous fuel consumption and the range, and that also can be changed a little bit. Like there are 2 options. You go into the settings, in vehicle displays, then the instrument cluster display, you go into fuel efficiency, range display, and then there is type 1, which shows you in the bar form or digital, or again you can leave it in blank if you are someone who likes a cleaner look on the screen. So that's just it. It's just very simple, as I said, to operate. Also there's also a trip button to see trip A, trip B, and the total odometer. And you are done with the driver's display. No fuss, very easy to just start using it. Now when it comes to the steering wheel, this is a leather covered steering wheel with buttons given on either side. There are paddle shifters given in the back too, but those are like plastic paddle shifters, and a little tiny to my liking, but it's got 6-speed automatic gearbox, so maybe you can use if you want to. And this is a leather covered steering wheel, Mazda badging in the center, and the steering wheel is manually adjustable, tilt and telescopic, adjust and lock it in, very easy to do that too. And on the right side there are buttons provided for the adaptive cruise control and to set everything, and also the lane keep assist and all of that. So those buttons are given on the right side, whereas on the left side there are buttons given for the media control and the buttons given to change the information on the driver's display and the voice control button. So that is your steering wheel, which is a round steering wheel. Now there is also a heads up display given on this CX-30, and it shows you good amount of information for navigation, for warnings, and also the adaptive cruise control and the media information. And again, to change that also, you go into the settings, in vehicle display, then the active driving display is what Mazda calls it, then adjust height, brightness, tilt, and the information that you see, active drive display content. If you want, switch it on and off, navigation, street, all of that, traffic, lane guidance and everything. So yeah, that is the heads up display. Now when it comes to the air conditioning control, straightforward button operated air conditioning system provided with a screen on top that shows you the information like the temperature and the fan speed and the flow of air direction. That's about it. So in order to operate, there's a button on and off given, and then dials on either side to adjust the temperature. So you get dual zone air conditioning system on this CX-30 and buttons in the middle to change the fan speed and the fresh air and AC on and off, and also the flow of air. There is also a button given for the heated steering wheel on the left hand side, and there are also more buttons given on either side for the heated seat. So the driver and the passenger side seat comes with the heated seat, so switch it on and off, straightforward. And there are air conditioning vents given on the driver side and also on the passenger side on the flatter face. Now when it comes to the infotainment screen, so this is a 10.25 inch infotainment system given on this Mazda and comes with the Mazda Connect also, so you can control this car using the Mazda Connect app. That is also possible and straightforward. Even the information that you interact or that you see on this system is very straightforward. It's not a touch screen, but it becomes touch screen. I'm going to come to that because it only works for Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. When you switch to that, there's a reason for that. So there's dials and buttons given here, shortcut ones and also volume dial. So yeah, this dial also is like a joystick to select whatever options that you see on the screen, and quick buttons given around it for home, media and navigation and the back, and also a dial for the volume as I said, and also you can pick a favorite. So there is a star button given, but you can customize that star button to add whatever you want on the screen. Then we go back, and inside this main infotainment screen there is information. Go in, there is fuel efficiency monitor. We go back, then there is Sirius XM travel link, then the vehicle status monitor, all of that. Then we go back, then there is the entertainment where you will find all the connectivity options. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect this infotainment screen using Bluetooth. There is USB, and there is also wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on this. Then there is the communication options, so see all your phones and texts and messages and everything. Navigation, so it comes with also the inbuilt navigation system, but yeah, you have to control this using the dial, which acts as a joystick, and everything can be controlled, which can become a bit tricky to operate. I wish this became like touch screen, but it only, as I said, happens on Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. Then the detailed settings, in vehicle displays, you can even change the center display, contrast display, all of that. Then the sound settings, so you get 12 speaker Bose music system on this CX-30. It sounds pretty good on this. Safety settings, then the vehicle settings, again doors, exterior lighting, interior turn signals and all of that, lots of detailed things. Connectivity system settings like clock, voice recognition, language, temperature, distance, speed, pressure and everything can change there from that. Then you can flick this dial on the left side and see any warnings. So currently there is a service approaching, it shows me that warning. And if you want to go into Android Auto, then you can flick this dial on the top to go into Android Auto, or flick it down for Apple CarPlay. And as you can see, now the screen becomes the touch screen. So this is how it works. Yeah, look at this. The reason being that because Google Maps has a lot of things, and also there are lots of options on the inside when you connect this, so using the Android Auto, so which is why you need that option, the ability to press it. But you can still use this dial if you want to. So like you can see, I can select it using the dial also, so it's up to you. But yeah, I wish the screen was just left as completely touch screen, because that can make things a little easier some of the times, like using the onboard navigation system also provided on this CX-30. So when it comes to the charging, there is a wireless charger given on this CX-30 underneath the air conditioning controls, and there are two more Type-C USB ports given underneath the handrest, but you have to slide this handrest back and then open it, so then you can access these two Type-C fast charging USB ports. And there's also a cutout provided, so you can close this, and yeah, this wire comes out, and then you can leave the phone here, maybe if you want to keep it in front of you. So yeah, or leave it inside the handrest. Now When you come to the storage, so in the door cards you can easily put 1.5 liter water bottle, some more storage on the sides. There's also small storage to put, I don't know, maybe keys or cards and stuff ready. Then there is this wireless charger that you can use to put something, two flexible cup holders underneath the air conditioning controls. I like the placement of that because it's away and doesn't consume the space, and taller cups can also fit on the inside. There is this glove box with double layer, and also even that, look at this, it just does not drop directly but comes down slowly. Then there is this hand rest, which is a slidable one, inside which there is this partition, so you can divide stuff on the inside, store everything and close it. Even on the passenger side, same capacity. In the rear door cards, again, you can put like 1.5 liter worth of water, very easy. And in the center armrest, there are two flexible cup holders. Now on this CX-30, there are these sun visors that have a little bit of extension to cover the door completely, and there is also a standard sunroof given on this CX-30, and the rear view mirror is also a frameless one, so there is no border or anything, so it gives you like a very wide visibility on the inside. Now when you come to these seats, so these seats are the garnet red leather seats, which is an optional extra, comes in for $250, but I guess, yeah, it actually elevates the appearance of this car, especially matching with the stitching on the inside and the paintwork on the outside. It's a great combo, and these are perforated seats because, yeah, these are the heated seats but not the cool seats. And in terms of the comfort, they are a bit on the medium harder side, I will say, not super soft, but yes, good enough for longer journeys, not a problem. And even at the bottom there is good amount of thigh support, and yeah, a little bit broader seats would be nicer, but yes, it's not too bad. They are still quite broad seats, and they offer good amount of side support. The side support is actually softer, and even the headrest, they are much more softer and squidgy. And the seats themselves, yeah, they hug you very well on the inside, and which is why it's a little bit on the sportier side also, because it's again based on the Mazda 3 hatchback. So yeah, that's why these seats are meant to be like this. Now in terms of the adjustability, so the driver side seat is 8-way electronically adjustable and 2-way lumbar adjustment, whereas the passenger side seat is just 4-way manually adjustable. There's also a button provided next to it, so that's like a switch to put into the sport mode or switch it off. So there are just two modes, normal and the sport mode, which you can even see it on your driver's display. Now in the rear, things are a bit tight, so in terms of the knee room, get about 2 fingers worth, and these seats are in my driving position. The headroom is not too bad. Someone about 6 feet will start brushing their heads against the ceiling, but still for a small SUV that sits so low, still it's not too bad. And there is also a cutout provided to give extra bit of headroom, and you can slide your legs under the seats for the longer journeys, but yeah, that doesn't really help too much by extending your legs, because there's not much space also to extend your legs here. And in terms of the seats, so as I said, they are a bit on the stiffer side, even in the back too, and it's very upright in terms of the seating position, but it's got good amount of support underneath my thigh, is what really impressed me, because a lot of these small cars usually have like way low seats and sort of bench type of setup, so does not have an angle, so that sort of misses out the thigh support. But on this, yes, there is that, and it's just that the back is a bit too stiff, which is why it might make you feel a little harder. And then it's got the same garnet red leather with the perforated seats, but they are not the heated or the cool seats. Just for the design purposes, they have been provided. There are also 3 headrests and adjustable headrests, and not the fixed ones. Now there is also a middle seat provided along with a handrest, and there is also a substantial amount of tunnel given here, so it's more of a temporary arrangement for the middle passengers. But yeah, the bottom seat is a bit on the harder side, and also the backrest also is quite hard. So yeah, as I said, short journeys into these seats are going to be okay, but 3 passengers is going to be a bit of a squeeze in the rear of this CX-30. And there's also a handrest provided, big and broad, and also pretty long that way, with 2 flexible cup holders. So at least the cup holders are in the front, and you can rest your hands on this, but again the material quality and the choice of it, yeah, feels very premium, unlike for a small SUV. In terms of the door card, that's where there is just plastic now that returns, and where you're going to be resting hands, that soft touch material with the red color stitching with glossy piano black plastic around the switches and everything. At the bottom, normal plastic, can put 1.5 liter worth of bottle. The passenger side seat, there is a shallow pocket storage provided, then this handrest also, and even on the other side the same. So in terms of the arrangement, and you can see that the windows are also quite small, but yes, they still offer good amount of visibility, and there is also another small window given in the back, so that adds a little bit of extra visibility on the inside. But yeah, there is this thick pillar that sort of, yeah, tapers around where you're going to be looking outside. But yes, definitely a lot cramped out here in the rear of the CX-30. So this new Mazda CX-30 comes with a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine with the cylinder deactivation technology that produces 191 horsepower and 186 pound-feet of torque, and this engine is mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission. And as I said, there's also a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine option also available in this GT spec and the Suna edition. And in terms of the gearbox and the engine response, I feel it's plentiful from this unit. You don't need the missing, sort of the turbocharger or anything. So I'm quite happy with the power delivery and the response from this engine. Yes, it lags sometimes a little bit here and there initially when you try to just accelerate, but otherwise the power delivery is smooth, and also the gear shifts are quite crisp, if I'm honest. And even when I try to do the gear shifter, it's looking all right. It takes a little, yeah, half a second delay, but still it's okay. It's not bad. This unit itself is very ample for this car, and even if I put it in the sport mode, yes, things become slightly more responsive because now the engine is much more lively and the throttle pedal is much more sensitive. The steering also slightly stiffens up, which is what I feel. But yeah, it's overall very, very sporty in terms of the feel and also the power delivery and also the torque. Now when it comes to the economy, so during the longer runs on highways, I've managed to get around 7 to 7.5 liters per 100 kilometers, whereas within the city I've been managing around 8 to 8.5 liters or even 9 liters if it's heavy traffic per 100 kilometers. Again, that's pretty decent for a small SUV, and especially for a 2.5 liter engine. So that's, yeah, pretty impressive numbers for this car. Now when it comes to the suspensions, they are slightly on the firmer side, again to make it a bit more sportier, because it is based on the Mazda's 3 hatchback chassis, so which is why bits and bobs everything feel on the harder side, the suspension itself. But that also elevates the handling in this case, and the roll itself is very minimum. In fact, it just nearly feels like you're driving a hatchback. It's just a little bit on the higher side, like on stilts. So that's the only difference. So yeah, I wouldn't mind, because these seats are that way pretty good for longer duration, so they won't make you feel like driving a very, yeah, stiff setup. But yes, slightly stiffer than the usual is what I have felt. Now when it comes to the steering, this thing has an electronic steering, rack and pinion, electronically assisted steering, but it's so sharp and it's so precise. Really love the steering on this, and the handling on this thing is amazing for especially a small SUV, and it's just very pointy and it's got a good feedback from it. And again, that is all from the 3 hatchback that it gets all this input. So yeah, very well done on the steering side. Plus the turning radius on this thing is just very small. It's like driving a hatchback, and as I said, the suspensions are on the firmer side, so that actually elevates the handling also on this car. Now when you come to the noise and the vibrations, there is just a little bit of noise from the engine when you stress it out or accelerate a little bit. Yeah, that's the thing. And then a little bit of wind whooshing is what I've observed from around the windows, but there is no tire noise or anything. So yeah, that's kept in check. Now when it comes to the brakes, there are 4 disc brakes on this CX-30. And in terms of the performance, yeah, they are pretty good. The brake pedal itself is quite progressive and it's got good weight to it, and the action from these disc brakes is also quite firm and pretty direct. Now when it comes to the safety systems, so there are 10 airbags, 2 for the front driver and the passengers, 2 side airbags again for the driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags for the rear passengers also, 2 curtain airbags given in the frames, and there are also 2 knee airbags for the driver and the passenger. Then there is also a brilliant 360-degree camera system. The output from that is just amazing. It's so crisp, it's so smooth. I mean, it's a lot of manufacturers need to start giving that sort of 360-degree camera system, because then it makes sense to give. It's, you know, if it's not clear, then yeah, what's the point? And it actually just helps you a lot. And also you can switch on at any point of time those 360-degree cameras and then have a look around. If you're in a parking lot or at a tighter parking spots, then yes, you can have a look at that. Then there's also child isofix points in both the rear seats, and there is also the electronic brake force distribution, there is ABS, there's also tire pressure monitoring system, there's blind spot warning, adaptive cruise control, front collision warnings. When it comes to the pricing, so the base variant, which is the GX, and as I said, everything comes with all-wheel drive system, so there's not much of a difference. So the base variant comes in at $28,000. It starts from the GT model, which is this one, comes in at $37,000. Whereas with the optional extras and a lot of taxes and all of that in different provinces, it will come around $40,000, because the optional extras are $550. Whereas the Suna edition comes in at a little over $40,000 plus additional, so make it up to $42,000. Now, in terms of the price, yes, the mid-spec or the top variant may look a lot more expensive, but it's well worth it, because these cars are just such a pleasure to drive, and everyday use is just so easy. Space, I would doubt that you can use for like bigger families, because the rear is absolutely not very spacious. So you can either use it as a trunk space or then 2 passengers in the front. So yeah, that's more like the setup. But yes, it's a very good car for what it offers, and good premium quality material, and I really like the looks of this car, and it's just way above its league in the segment with what it delivers, with how it handles, how it feels, how it drives, and what it offers. So for that, this is definitely a very good choice in the small SUV segment, but yes, not for the space, unfortunately, for the rear passengers. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Give this video a thumbs up, and thank you for watching this video. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, then you can click here, and if you want to watch more videos, then click here. I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care, and drive safe.